searching for the spotlight for years. Jim Bob actually was in politics for a while in the late 90s
or something. Or
he was in the Arkansas state legislature, and Michelle was all about like quote unquote the family image, right? So this is a thing that exists apparently, but she won an Arkansas's Young Mother of the Year award in the early 2000s, and I'm like, that's a thing.
I'm sure it is. Okay.
Well, I one time won Best Mom. I have a mug that Calvin gave me. So there, take that, Michelle. She wrote a lot of essays and parenting magazines about their unique family, you know. And eventually reality television producers came calling, as they are wont to do. And they took this as an opportunity to not only improve their family finances, which they treated as a, like, you know, a perk of this, when really it was probably what they really wanted. They said their ultimate goal was they wanted to inspire others to live like them. Okay. So, but while preaching family values, they were hiding a predator this whole time. So before the first TV special even aired, they knew they had a problem with Josh. So more on that.
What's the problem with the Josh?
Yeah, there's a welcome to the new
special.
Yes, we need to talk about Josh.
Josh, buddy, you're fucking up.
Yeah, more on that in a bit. So in 2004, the Duggar family made their TV debut on the Discovery Channel. At the time, Jim Bob and Michelle had 14 children.
Jesus Christ.
Oh, they only had 14. It was only 14. And they had one on the way, and it was called 14 Children and Pregnant Again. And this was followed by all those TLC shows that we know. So 17 Kids and Counting, 18, 19.
Does she have, okay, this is a rude question, but I'm going to ask it anyway. Does she do natural birth? Like, or does she do...
Good question. I don't know.
Oh my God, what's going on?
I bet she, well, some of these were probably C-sections, right?
Right? Because she's tiny
so.
too. She's little.
Yeah. She's a little person.
Yeah.
And there were a ton of these shows back then, by the way.
Yes.
Like there was like John and Kate +8. I didn't watch any of these though. Did you watch these?
I actually did. I got kind of into John and Kate the first season. I was into it. I just think it's just the cacophony of everything that's happening, like changing 6 diapers at once and all that stuff. I think like with Michelle, because they seem like they're very calm people, very chill people.
Yeah.
And I don't think like somebody, like if you feel harried and overworked or something or stressed out, I think you look at this woman, you're like, wow, she has 14 and she doesn't freak out. She loves it. But then I also think that's the comparison trap. Like, what's wrong with me? How come I'm not as chill as Michelle? And for all we know, I'm not going to say anything else, but
I watched TLC shows back then. So I saw commercials for these shows all the time. Like I was all in on like trading spaces and whatnot
changing
to wear.
Rooms and
stuff like that. That was more my jam, but I saw commercials for these all the time. So I knew it was a thing. So eventually those shows were canceled in like 2015. And there was a spinoff show that was like Jill and Jessa Counting On. And that show followed them as they started their own families. That one was eventually canceled too in June of last year.
Another J word.
So we need to talk about Josh. Let's do it. So Josh was born in 1988. He married Anna in 2008, and they have 7 children. So, they're all M's: Mackenzie, Michael, Marcus, Meredith, Mason, Mariella, and Madison. And Madison is spelled with a Y, so it's Madysson. I'm like, parents, Jim Bob and Michelle have known since 2003 that Josh molested 4 of his sisters and a babysitter. So this is before they even had a TV show, y'all. They've known about this since before they were on TV. So a family friend, Bobby Holt, by the way, Bobby spells her name Bobye. Okay. She testified in court that in 2003, the family asked her and her husband at the time was an Arkansas state legislator named Jim Holt. They asked him to counsel Josh as a spiritual advisor. At the time, Josh was dating the Holt's teenage daughter.
Okay.
They asked him
Do you touch her hands?
They're like, no, not allowed to touch her hands.
Have they done any arm wrestling?
They asked him to be a spiritual advisor and told him why. Because he's been molesting our daughters.
Oh, for God's
So
sakes.
I'm like, that's some awkward shit. Like, let's ask the parents of the girl you're dating to counsel you about sexually abusing your younger sisters. I'm going to assume at that point the Holts were like, you can't date our daughter anymore.
Right.
Like,
right.
So
no more side hugs.
Then 15-year-old Josh met with the Holts and he admitted to everything. He said that he molested four of his younger sisters and a babysitter. And at this point, all the sisters were under 12 years old. The youngest would have been Joy Anna at 5.
Oh, Jesus.
I don't think they've ever, I think 2 of the sisters, I think Jill and Jessa, have come forward and said that they were, but they have not ever said who the other ones were, which they are perfectly within their right to do. So I don't want to speculate, but I wanted to give you an age range. So I'm pretty sure, obviously, at this point, the Holts were like, yeah, you'd break up with our daughter. So, and all of this happened before they were doing TV. So in March 2003, Jim Bob went and he met with church elders to discuss Josh's behavior. And they decided Josh needed to enter a treatment program. So Jim Bob agreed. We're going to send him to a treatment program. But instead, he sent Josh to live with a family friend who was in the home remodeling business. So basically, Josh lived somewhere else and worked for 4 months.
Oh, wow.
Not
what a punishment.
really. Yeah, not a treatment program by any means. And then when Josh got home, his father and the church elders took Josh to visit a state trooper and confess what he's done.
Wow.
Yeah. So the trooper was Officer Hutchins. Oh, I didn't put his first name in here. Sorry. Anyway, he gave Josh a very stern talking to and did not charge him with any crimes. And he did not report it, even though he was legally required to do so. FYI, Hutchins was later arrested on filming underage children.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
And is serving 56 years in prison. So despite having known that Josh did this, Jim Bob and Michelle chose to continue chasing fame and exposure for the family. They filmed that first special in 2004 and they followed it up with several others. They went on the Today Show. And then they signed on for like all these other shows. So they did the like On the Road with 16 Children and Raising 16 Children and 17 and Counting, 18, 19. At one point, they were supposed to go on Oprah. So in 2006, they were booked to go on Oprah.
Wow, that's a juggernaut.
Yeah. So then somebody sent Oprah's production company an anonymous letter and said the oldest son is molesting the daughters.
He's a predator.
He's a predator. Oprah's production company alerted the authorities, which is the proper thing to do, and they began a formal investigation. They interviewed all the victims, and they decided that the three-year statute of limitations had run out.
3?
3.
So the 5-year-old had till she was 8 until she could say something? Oh, for God's sakes.
Yeah, I know. So no charges were brought forth. So clearly, like, Oprah's people knew what was up. I would assume, did the networks that then put them on the air, did they not know this? They must have known this, right?
Or not, or because some of those like Discovery, and TLC, they're notoriously cheap. They pay people nothing, and they try to like freelance everything. They have production crews that handle this. So I think like somebody could know, and then just like it's, they work freelance. Like they don't have a you know what I mean? Like they got to take the gig while they can. Somebody knew, but I mean, I would be very surprised if somebody at the top knew.
Yeah,
I think it's more
because because they never did appear on
Yeah,
Oprah's people
no, they
were
used-
like, fuck no.
No. But and I remember when the show when they took the kids to Scotland. These poor people in Edinburgh, and they dragged them around Edinburgh. And Jim Bob would go up to people, go, "Are you saved?" And I cannot do a Scottish accent, so I won't begin. But they'd look at him like, "What are you even talking about?" And they go, "Oh, you don't know what I'm talking about? You don't believe in God? What?" And they're just like, "Hey, random asshole on the street."
Ugly, such an ugly American thing to do.
But these shows have production crews, and then they hire film people. So it could be that. It could be.
It could be.
That. Yeah.
In 2008, they got their own show that ran for 8 years, 15 seasons. 2 of those seasons were about like Josh's courtship and marriage to Anna. And Jim Bob and Michelle were even like praising them as like setting a good example of how young couples can remain pure before marriage and live their faith. And I'm like, yeah, I guess despite the molesting, right? He's super pure and like a really good role model. So over the next few years, the Duggar family and their empire continued to grow. Like they added more kids. They released books. Even the daughters wrote a book for teenagers. They went on the Christian speaking circuit, which is a thing that exists. Mm-hmm. They created their website, and it's all about promoting their beliefs. Like it's all about like living a pure, modest life while they're on TV.
Right. And Jim Bob has the church out of his house, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. He has a radio station, and that's his church. So they don't pay taxes.
Right.
And I think they get health care because he was once working for the government, and you get like, yeah. Assholes.
Super cool. I know, right? And what Josh did remained hidden for quite a while. Josh became active in conservative politics, working on the 2008 presidential campaign of Mike Huckabee. He was a former governor of Arkansas. Mm-hmm. And then the 2012 presidential campaign of Senator Rick Santorum. Fuck these guys. Both of these guys, by the way, are future What a Creep episodes. 100%. They both fucking suck. Huckabee and Santorum.
And there's a lot. Yeah, I've posted in our Instagram.
Yeah.
All of them wanted it. Sarah Palin, Bristol Palin, like everybody wanted a picture with him.
Yeah, Rand Paul has some pictures with him. Jeb Bush took pictures with him. Actually, I thought I made a list here. Anyway, Jeb Bush, Rick Perry, Scott Walker.
Yep.
The who's who of who's a fucking prick took a picture.
Like I said, we posted our Instagram, and I had one with him with Ted Cruz, and then somebody goes, well, what year was this? And I'm like, all right, I could play this game. So I just posted like 20 more right away. I'm like, what does it matter?
It doesn't matter.
They're all assholes. I mean,
they are assholes. Dude was an asshole then. It doesn't matter. So yeah, he worked on those campaigns. He eventually got a gig working for the conservative lobbying organization, the Family Research Council. Fuck the Family Research Council, by the way. They have been labeled an anti-gay hate group by the Southern Poverty Law Center, just FYI.
They also went after Howard Stern for years and tried to sue him. Yeah.
Family Research Council. And there's also the Parent Television Council. Yes. I think they're both bullshit. Fuck those groups. The Family Research Council in particular, so they actually work against like gay rights, reproductive rights, and even the Violence Against Women Act.
Well,
they suck. Anyway, let's move on. Eventually, the truth came out. In Touch Weekly. Such an unfortunate name for a magazine, though, but whatever. In Touch Weekly did a really big story about Josh's, like they dug up all the police reports from 2003, and it revealed that, he had admitted to abusing 5 underage girls as far back as 2002. Girls. Did I say minor girls?
No, you said underage girls.
Oh, sorry. They're girls. They're children.
Right, they're kids, yeah.
At this point now, Josh is 27 years old, married father of 3, apologized for his actions, insisted it happened in the past.
Sure.
Yeah. Then Gawker, R.I.P. Gawker. Sometimes you did the Lord's work. They reported that Josh was a member of Ashley Madison. and had cheated on his wife. And then he checked into a quote unquote faith-based rehab facility shortly after. If you don't know what Ashley Madison is,
was
it was a whole thing for like